Hi, welcome Professor Kev Show. As you can see, I got my buddy Wilmer with us from Motion. Good morning, Wilmer. Welcome to the show.
Right. Hello, hello.
So let's jump in. We talk about Motion, tell me about yourself as a human being. What should the audience know about you, my friend?
So me as a human being, I'm a first generation Dominican student. I was born and raised in Dominican Republic, and between my teenage years, I've traveled a lot between Boston and Dominican Republic. So I've navigated through different cultures, different schools, different environments, and I feel like that's given me a very open perspective on what people go through, what people think, what their values are. Um, and For most of my teenage years, I was mostly a baseball player. I played very competitive baseball between Boston and Dominican Republic. That was one of the biggest reasons whilst I was traveling so much. But then I ended up tearing my ACL, unfortunately, cutting my career short. And I decided to come back to the US a little, not permanently, but to finish school, get through college, get my life going. And for a while, I was wondering like what I was gonna do, you know, because I had a lot of interests, but my main thing was always baseball. Like I didn't see anything else outside of baseball. Um, so then I got to Cash. It's a public school in Dorchester, and over there, I ended up getting into this Harvard program for med science. And it was a lot of like simulated doctor trials, working with a team. And I really liked it. And at that point, I was considering being a doctor, you know, like this is something I like. This is something I can maybe do. But it's never that simple. I realized what it took to become a doctor. And I felt like I didn't have enough love for the game to
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
through school for 16 years, you know? Like, it's not always about having the smarts, it's always about also having the passion and dedication to do something. And I ended up getting into this entrepreneurship program, um, because I always like entrepreneurship. Like ever since as I was a kid, I remember when I was younger, I used to dream about pretty much making robots
Hmm.
and changing the world and doing all these type of stuff. Um, I was gonna be a robot scientist. That's what
Cool.
I called that. I told people. Um, but eventually the idea faded, through my teenage years. But like that desire for creativity, it kind of stick with me. So I ended up going to this entrepreneurship boot camp, and in that boot camp, um, some people, it wasn't that long, but they pretty much introduced me like the process behind like the process behind an idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what actually entrepreneurship is. And then I ended up presenting a quick business plan in front of like a bunch of people working alongside people from Citizens Bank. And then, from that point, I really felt like that connected with me. Like this is me, this is Wilmer,
Mhm.
this is something Wilmer can do for the rest of his life.
Yep. So,
And
so let's
mm,
talk a little bit about motion. What is that? Why did you come up with this idea? What need, what opportunity did you see?
so Motion is a behavioral simulation platform. It's very story driven and it's initially going to be for ages 7 through 9. Its main goal is to shape the behavior in small children to move them away from the bad financial habits that affect them later on. Um, Motion didn't seem to be what it was right off the bat. I remember when I first got into Difference Maker, that wasn't really what I had in mind. But somebody close to me, they were telling me about their financial problems, you know. They were telling me how they make so much money, but never has money.
Hmm.
And that really that kind of clicked to me, because I'm also very into like finance and stuff like that. I spend most of my time like doing research, learning about different stuff. And and it's like some things are very simple to fix. Like I asked him, do you track your expenses? Do you have a budget? Do you do this? Do you do that? And he's like, no, not really. Um, And then that kind of clicked to me. I'm like, oh, what if I make an app that like really helps people track and like see what they're spending, all that. But I kind of realized it was not a really good idea because rocket money already
There's
exists.
a lot of people out there doing that already, my friend.
Yeah, so it's like I threw that out the window. Like I was planning on doing like some special features, of course, not just tracking. But I realized that it wasn't gonna be enough. So, talked to different people, thought a little bit of myself on my own. And in macroeconomics and micro, you learn about opportunity costs. Pretty
My
much what
favorite term.
you gotta give up to get something. And it really makes me think about how people don't consider that when making decisions. Like, what am I giving up to obtain this? You know what I mean? And then at that point, I was like moving towards developing something to like high school teenagers to make them understand like the weight of their decisions and like what it costs to actually get something, you know? And that was a little bit closer, but I feel like that still wasn't the root of the problem. So, a little bit more thinking, a little bit more asking around, getting different opinions, seeing different perspectives, and thinking on my own. I realized that probably the most effective way is starting very early,
Amen.
before instead of focusing on just on teaching, focus on shaping behavior because ultimately behavior is what leads to how you spend your finances. Like if you are very impulsive, you might end up spending a lot of money on stuff that you might don't need, you know? And most people don't know how to delay gratification, like let me save up so then I can have this. People tend to want to grab the first thing in sight.
I agree.
And I did some research and I was thinking about ways of doing it. I was thinking about high school, and I feel like at some point, high school students they don't really care. You know what I mean? It's not that they don't care, but it's like it's harder to convince. Like it's easier to ignore.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, oh yeah, financial literacy, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Because, even me at some point, that's how I was. When my dad was giving me advice on like how I should not spend my money, it's
Hmm.
like, bro, what are you talking about?
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but I felt like going younger like definitely opens opportunity for like more understanding, more engagement, and more like wanting to participate, especially with the way I'm planning to design motion, because it's gonna be story driven. It's gonna be something engaging. It's not gonna feel like they're gonna be out here learning a curriculum. So it's gonna feel like they're playing part of a game.
So, crystal ball time, my friend. 3 to 5 years out, where do you see this idea? Where will motion be?
3 to 5 years, I definitely want to be able to have a tailored product for every grade. I'm gonna be starting off with 7 through 9 year olds, grades 2 through 4. But eventually I want to have a personalized and tailored version for every grade. I want to be able to reach as many schools as possible. Ideally more than 10 states. That's what I'm aiming for.
Awesome.
Um, More than 1,000 schools, and then just be able to see the results.
So, what's the best way for people to reach out to if they want to learn more about your idea, my friend?
If they want to reach out to me, I can leave my email or my LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Um,
LinkedIn. Yep.
yeah, I feel like LinkedIn would be the best because sometimes I get a lot of spam in my email and I
Yep.
miss it.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you taking a few minutes to call into the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
All right. Thank you.